What Marcus didn't know was that the quiet librarian in front of him had once saved lives in Afghanistan. Welcome to Hidden Strength Stories. Before we dive into this incredible tale of hidden identity, please let us know in the comments which country and city you're watching from. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be remembered and shared, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps us bring you more amazing true-to-life stories every single day. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at someone and thought you knew exactly who they were? Maybe the quiet person at work? Or the unassuming neighbor next door? Well, today's story will completely change how you see the people around you. Because sometimes, the most ordinary-looking person carries the most extraordinary secrets. This is the story of Sarah Chen, a librarian in Seattle who seemed like the most peaceful person you could ever meet. But when danger struck her library, everything everyone thought they knew about her was about to be shattered in the most unexpected way. "This ain't no playground," shouted Marcus Thompson, his 6'3" frame towering in the entrance of Seattle Central Library. He swung his baseball bat threateningly. "If there's anything valuable in this building, it's ours now." Sarah Chen, the 34-year-old librarian, sat behind her desk organizing book records. With her wire-rimmed glasses, brown hair pulled back in a neat bun, and quiet demeanor, she looked like every stereotype of an academic. When she looked up at Marcus's gang's noisy entrance, her face showed only mild concern. Many people knew Sarah Chen, or thought they did. For 5 years, she'd worked at Seattle Central Library, recommending books, reading stories to children, the quiet woman who did yoga on weekends, shopped for organic groceries, and lived alone in her apartment. But nobody knew her past. Nothing visible in Sarah's small, tidy apartment gave any clue about her former life. Flower paintings on the walls, yoga books on shelves, herbal teas in the kitchen. It was a typical librarian's home. However, in the very back of the bedroom closet, hidden among normal clothes, was a box. Inside, if one looked carefully, traces of a completely different Sarah Chen could be found. Military berets, medals, and most importantly, a certificate reading U.S. Army Rangers. Sarah Chen wasn't just a librarian. 10 years ago, she had served in special operations in Afghanistan, one of the few women to successfully complete Ranger School. A fact that very few people knew. Sarah was an expert in military combat systems, certified in psychological warfare techniques. Why had she left that life behind? The answer lay in a painful memory Sarah had never shared with anyone. 8 years ago, Sarah's final mission was protecting a village in Afghanistan. During a Taliban attack, while Sarah and her team were moving civilians to safety, they encountered 12 children trapped in a school basement. Sarah managed to get the children to safety while under enemy fire, but was wounded in the process. She succeeded in saving all the children, but the event deeply affected her. She could never forget the cruelty of war, the expression of fear in the children's eyes. That day, she decided she wanted to help people not through warfare, but through peace, knowledge, and learning. After leaving the military, she studied library science. Her goal was simple: to use knowledge not as a weapon, but as a healing force. When she moved to Seattle, she had created a new identity for herself: quiet, harmless librarian Sarah Chen. But sometimes the past catches up when you least expect it. That Tuesday afternoon, the library was quiet as usual. Old Mr. Henderson was reading his newspaper in the corner. High school students were doing homework. A young mother was choosing storybooks for her child. Sarah was cataloging newly arrived books. When Marcus Thompson and his 4 men entered through the door, the atmosphere changed instantly. Marcus was known as the leader of one of the local crime gangs. 28 years old, recently released from prison, prone to violence. "Everyone on the ground," Marcus shouted, raising his bat in the air. "Phones, bags, whatever's valuable on the table." The people in the library began moving in panic. Old Mr. Henderson tremblingly pulled out his wallet. Students put their phones on the table. The mother with her child protectively held her baby closer. Sarah sat quietly behind her desk. Her heart was beating fast, but her breathing was controlled. Her eyes analyzed Marcus and his men's positions, exit routes, potential weapons. 10 years of military training automatically kicked in. "You too!" Marcus shouted, turning to Sarah. Get the money from the safe." "There's no safe in the library," Sarah said in a calm voice. "This is a public library." Marcus approached angrily. "You think I'm stupid? This building's gotta have money somewhere." Sarah's training was kicking in. Analyze the enemy's psychology. Identify weak points. Use the environment to your advantage. She noticed Marcus was starting to lose control. This was the most dangerous moment. "Listen to me, Four Eyes," Marcus said, pointing the bat toward Sarah's face. "I grew up in this neighborhood. This building has money and you're gonna find it." "There really is no safe," Sarah repeated. "Just books, computers, and—" Marcus angrily struck the table with his bat, causing the computer monitor to tip over and crash to the floor. "Enough, Jake. Knock over those shelves. Maybe there's a safe behind them." One of Marcus's men began knocking over bookshelves. Hundreds of books scattered on the floor. As Sarah watched her beloved books being damaged, she felt anger rising within her. "Please stop," Sarah said, the hardness in her voice becoming apparent for the first time. "The people here are innocent." "Innocent?" Marcus laughed. "Look who's talking. You're just like the others in this rich neighborhood. While I was growing up in the hood, you were here reading books comfortably." These words triggered Sarah. Marcus's anger and perception of injustice reminded her of the children in that village in Afghanistan. Fear, anger, helplessness, the same emotions. "This is just a library," Sarah said, standing up. "People come here to learn." Marcus was uncomfortable with Sarah standing up. "Who are you to give me orders? Sit down." When Marcus swung the bat towards Sarah, everything happened in milliseconds. Sarah's military reflexes kicked in. As the bat moved through the air, Sarah slid to the left, moving out of the target path. At the same time, she grabbed the bat from Marcus's wrist and took control. Marcus lost his balance, while Sarah moved behind him in an instant, grabbing Marcus's arm from behind. A classic Ranger hold-it technique that neutralizes the enemy without causing injury. "How did you—" Marcus stammered, shocked that the bat had left his hand. Sarah's voice came out calm but clear. "Please tell your friends to stop." Marcus's men stared in bewilderment at what was happening. Their leader had been controlled by the small, bespectacled librarian. "How is this possible?" Marcus asked, trying to break free from Sarah's hold. Sarah spoke from behind Marcus. "Sometimes people aren't what they appear to be." One of Marcus's men shouted, "Let the boss go!" and rushed toward Sarah. Sarah immediately pushed Marcus forward and freed herself. Facing the rushing man's attack, she used his momentum to redirect him toward the bookshelf. The man lost his balance and crashed into the shelves. The other two men attacked simultaneously. Sarah blocked one's punch and kicked the other's leg, neutralizing both. The way she moved was the result of years of training, effective, fast, and without using unnecessary violence. The people in the library held their breath, watching this unexpected scene. Quiet librarian Sarah had suddenly become someone completely different. When Marcus got up and looked around, all his men were either on the ground or standing in corners. None seriously injured, but none able to move either. "You, who are you?" Marcus asked, his voice mixing fear and astonishment. Sarah adjusted her glasses, brushed book dust from her hair. "I'm Sarah Chen, librarian." "The way you moved isn't normal," Marcus said. "Are you a soldier?" Sarah hesitated for a moment. The truth she had tried to hide for 8 years was about to come out. "Formerly," Sarah said simply, "U.S. Army Rangers." Deep silence fell over the library. "Mr. Henderson, the students." The young mother one stared at Sarah in amazement. Marcus's mouth fell open. "Rangers? You're special forces?" 10 years ago, I served in Afghanistan," Sarah said. "But not anymore. Now I'm just a librarian." "Why are you here?" Marcus asked, his previous aggression replaced by curiosity. Sarah looked around at the scattered books, the frightened people, the damaged library area. "Because knowledge is more powerful than weapons. Books can change more lives than war." Marcus stood confused. "Then why did you stop us, if you're not a soldier anymore?" "Because I have to protect the people here," Sarah said. "That's my job, but I want to do it the right way, not through violence." Sarah approached Marcus. The young man stood tense, but was no longer aggressive. "Marcus Thompson, right?" Sarah said. I know you. You used to come here waiting for your mother when you were little. When you were 12, 13, you'd play computer games. Marcus was surprised. You remember me? Of course I remember you. You were a good kid. What happened? Marcus hung his head. Life happened. Mom died. I lost my job. The streets. This won't solve your problems, Sarah said in a soft voice. But here, together, we can find solutions. Sarah picked up a brochure from beside her desk. Job training programs, skill development courses. You can find all of these here. Marcus looked at the brochure, then at Sarah. Why do you want to help me? I just tried to attack you. Because everyone deserves a second chance, Sarah said. I found mine here too. Marcus turned to his men. Let's go, he said quietly. We don't have any business here. The men were surprised, but followed their leader. As they walked toward the door, Marcus paused. Sarah? He said. Yes? Thank you. I understand now why you work here. After Marcus and his gang left, the library slowly returned to normal. Mr. Henderson whispered, Incredible. Students began taking out their phones to record Sarah. Please, Sarah said, raising her hand. Can this incident stay here? I just did my job. The young mother approached. Were you really a soldier? Sarah smiled. Formerly. But now my priority is different. Now I want to serve you. In peace. The next day when the library opened, Sarah was sitting in her usual place. Glasses on, hair pulled back. List of newly arrived books in hand. In the afternoon, Marcus came alone. He held an application form for the job training program. Hello, Sarah, he said hesitantly. Hello, Marcus. How can I help you? I want to fill out this form. And I'm sorry for what happened yesterday. Sarah smiled. That's in the past. Let's look to the future now. As Marcus filled out the form, he asked, Were you really in the Rangers? Yes, Sarah said. But that doesn't define who I am. This, she said, pointing to the books around her, defines who I am now. Weeks passed. Marcus regularly came to the library and participated in the training program. Sarah taught him computer skills, resume writing, and interview techniques. Other neighborhood youth followed Marcus. Sarah quietly arranged educational opportunities for them too. The library became not just a place to borrow books, but a center that transformed the community. One day, Mr. Henderson approached Sarah. I know who you are, he said. I researched. The hero who saved children in Afghanistan. Sarah nodded. That's in the past. No, Mr. Henderson said. You're still saving children, just in a different way now. Sarah looked out the window. Marcus was teaching other young people how to use computers. Smiling, she said, Maybe you're right. 6 months later, Marcus found a job with a major construction company in Seattle. When he received his first paycheck, he came to the library to find Sarah. This is because of you, he said, showing his paycheck. No, Sarah said. This was your effort. I just showed you the door. Marcus smiled. You were much more than a door for me. You gave me a second chance. That evening, as Sarah returned home, she took out the box from the back of the closet. She looked at her old military memories medals, certificates, photos. She no longer hid them. They were part of her past, but they didn't define who she was. Her true identity lay in the work she did every day at the library, in the hope she gave people, in choosing peace over war. Sarah Chen had managed to be both a soldier and a librarian. Most importantly, she had learned to serve herself and her community. And sometimes, quiet heroes were the strongest ones. I wonder where you're watching this story from today. Whether you're in a bustling city or a quiet small town, you've probably seen someone being underestimated before. Perhaps you've witnessed the moment when assumptions shatter and true strength reveals itself. Sarah's story reminds us that everyone carries hidden chapters. The quiet librarian might be a former elite soldier. The person sitting next to you might have saved lives. If you were Sarah, would you have chosen peace over your past? Or would you have walked away from helping others? Let me know in the comments below. If this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe to Hidden Strength Stories, where we discover the extraordinary within the ordinary.